Thank you for clicking on this video. I know some of you have been interested in how the Manchester Marathon went and in general kind of how the race went for me. So I thought I'll do a little bit of a recap video and tell you a bit about the weekend and kind of my experience. Hopefully it won't be too long, but I just kind of wanted to share some of my thoughts. I hope you enjoy it. So I received my bib about 3 weeks before the race. It came in the post. But if you're coming from abroad, so anyone who isn't in the UK, you will have to go and pick up your bib the day before the race. I think it's a day or two before, so make sure you check out the details. If you're in the UK, it's quite good because they post it out to you, which it kind of reduces the stress a bit for race day or race weekend. So mine arrived about 3 weeks before the race. Their social media has been really good as well. On Instagram, they've been constantly posting about everything and giving you lots of information, and the amount of emails we got leading up to the race as well, there's just so much information. I feel like they do try and tell you everything you need to know, so there's not going to be any surprises on the day or on the weekend. So I feel like it's very well communicated throughout kind of the year or just like the weeks leading up to the race. So I live about 3 hours away from Manchester, so I travelled the day before. I travelled up north. I live in the southwest, so the day before travelled up to Manchester, well, kind of the outskirts of Manchester, because all the accommodation in closer to the centre of Manchester are very expensive. So I managed to find an Airbnb that's kind of on the outskirts a bit, so it's about half an hour into Manchester. Yeah, I travelled there the day before. We went into Manchester kind of the evening before to get some dinner. We ended up getting pizza because I kind of still wanted a carb load. I was looking for kind of a pasta dish somewhere, but kind of couldn't really find anywhere that I wanted to eat, and I thought, oh, pizza is good as well. And also I didn't want to spend a lot of time just walking around the day before the marathon, so we kind of settled for pizza, which was very nice. Didn't have any tummy issues or anything, which is good. So in total we stayed 2 nights there. So the night we travelled up there, and then the race day evening as well we stayed there, and then on the Monday we kind of travelled back down. All in all went quite well, except we were stuck in traffic for maybe about 2 hours on the way back because there was road closure due to a lorry being on fire. So there was too much smoke and they had to close the motorway for about 2 hours because the visibility was poor, so that wasn't good. So I looked up all the information I can before we went to Manchester. I decided to go for the park and ride, so I picked a park and ride that was quite far out of the zone. So they have like zones 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it goes up to 4, 5 or 6. I don't actually remember exactly, but I went for the one that was furthest out because I thought it would be the least busy. So I didn't want to end up driving to a park and ride and then not finding a space because they're 2 minutes, because there's thousands of people going to run the marathon and spectators, and I just thought going for the furthest one out would be the safest option. When we got there, it was very empty, so I think we made the right choice. I think they had over 300 spaces, but it was quite empty, which was good. And I also picked one that had the tram network, that was part of the tram network. So we parked and then got the tram into Manchester. The tram system is really good. I think there are 99 stops in Manchester that you can just travel around. And I looked up all the different stops that I need to get, and also you can get like a weekend ticket. You can get it that covers bus, tram and train, but I thought we would only need the tram, so I got the weekend tram ticket, which was £6.80. It's really good, and it's just unlimited travel. I think it starts from Friday evening until like early hours of Sunday, so all weekend you can travel by tram, unlimited, which I thought was really good. And it's called the B Network app, which I downloaded on my phone. I'll leave some details down below if you're interested, but I thought that was really good. I think if you get a single journey, it's really cheap as well. It's like really affordable and very reliable. It's quite regular, especially on race day. They kind of had more services, so yeah, that really helped. And they had screens telling you how long for the next tram, and yeah, it all worked out quite smoothly. When I was reading on the Manchester Marathon website, it said the closest stop would be Old Trafford, which is a minute walk away from where you need to be. But it says that it's probably going to be really busy, so they kind of recommended some other stops that are a little bit further away that might be quieter. So I was going to get off Trafford Bar, which is a stop before Old Trafford, and it's about a 10-minute walk. And I thought, oh, that'll be fun. We can just like, because we left loads of time for ourselves to get there, so I thought, oh, we'll get off the stop before. But the tram, by the time we got on the tram, it was so packed, and the carriage that we were in, no one was getting off, so we couldn't get to the door to get out. And obviously, yeah, by the time we kind of thought, oh, this might be our stop, the tram just started moving again, so we ended up not getting off where I wanted to get off. But it kind of worked out well, because we got off at Old Trafford, which is the 1 minute away tram station or tram stop. But yeah, you just come out the tram and then you get to the gate where you need to go anyway. So it was so easy. Everything just went really well. So when I said we got there early, I think I got there maybe 2 hours before I need to really get there, because I was just so worried I won't get there on time. My wave didn't start until 11, but I think we were aiming to get there about 8:30, but I think we ended up getting there maybe like 8:45. So we had over 2 hours just hovering around, not knowing what to do. But I'd rather have that extra time to make sure, because I wasn't sure if there was going to be parking. I didn't know how easy the tram was going to be, and if we might get on the wrong one and end up going the opposite direction or anything like that. So I thought the earlier I get there, the better, and I can just queue to use the loo and yeah, just know where I'm going. So that worked out really well, although a bit cold. So we ended up sitting in Costa for a bit, just to stay warm. It was cold, but yeah, it worked out well. I know some of you ran the Manchester Marathon as well. Let me know how it went in the comments. I'd like to know how you got on and how your experience was running that race and kind of your whole weekend. So yeah, so let me know and share it with me. So then the instructions kind of told us to go through the start access area. So my wave started at 11, but we had to get there for it was like 10:15 to 10:25 that I needed to be in the start access area, which is through the gates that we kind of first got off near where the tram stop was. We go through the gates. They said your bags might get checked for security reasons, but I kind of went through without being checked. And also, if you want to drop your bag off, you kind of have to go in that area to drop off your bag. So I kind of went in a bit earlier than I need to as well, because I wasn't sure where I was going. But yeah, it was quite easy to follow. You just followed to go inside. And then from then on, it was a little bit confusing. I think the reason they put you all in that start access area is because they can call your wave forward to get to the start line. So at certain times of the morning, they would call out your wave color. So it would be like, oh, green, blue, gray, or whatever color that was before mine, to come forward. And they kind of slowly process you to the start line. So that it moves you, make sure that you're in the right wave and right start time. But it wasn't very obvious where you had to go in a way. And also I figured that once you go through the start access line and you follow kind of the group towards the start, anyone can kind of join into that group to get to the start line. Because in my mind, I thought, oh, only runners are allowed in that area, and then there's no way out or anyone to come in. So you have to follow this kind of route through to the start line. But it turns out that you can just hop in. Like if you didn't go through the start access, or you didn't need to drop off your bag, you could just get to the start line, like just join when your start wave's supposed to begin, I guess. So there wasn't really the need to go through that bit. That's what I figured out, but I didn't know because it was my first one. And the other thing is, I think because there were so many people, they couldn't quite track the start waves and the colors being at the start, the correct start times. Because when I got there, I kind of joined the group that started before me. But then I was told, oh, because I'm a pink wave, I have to move somewhere else. But while I was waiting for my wave to start, I could see loads of other pink kind of bibs in the earlier group. So I felt like I could have joined that group and finished earlier. So it was all a bit like messy. I feel like anyone could go in the earlier wave and people could go on in the later wave. So I guess there was just too many people to kind of manage and control in a way. So everyone was a bit everywhere. So it wasn't very obvious. But I decided to stick with my wave because I was told to be in the pink wave and I started at 11. So I thought I'll stick with this wave. The race started dead on time. It was very exciting. They had like a loud bang at the start and some flames and everything. It was very dramatic, and yeah, it was very exciting to the start of the run. Yeah, it kind of really helped to kind of hype everyone up. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, the whole run was really good. I mean, the crowd was amazing. Everyone was kind of out cheering and getting you just go go go, you know. There were loads of water stations along the route as well. I brought my own water with me, so I had the one soft flask with electrolyte and one just water, so I had a litre of water with me, but kind of as I went along I started drinking water from the water stations. There were little 330ml water bottles that they handed out. There were so many of them, like you wouldn't be dehydrated if you needed the water. There were just so many, and so many volunteers kind of really helpful and handing you water. Some of them even like had them the bottles opened for you and everything, and yeah, just loads of water stations. I've also noticed loads of photographers en route. You see them everywhere, and there were just loads of photo opportunities. The one thing I thought was a bit disappointing is I thought the photos were very expensive. I would have liked to have purchased some, probably, because it was my first marathon, and I thought, oh, if there were a couple of good ones, I probably would have like bought them. But I think even if you buy one, it was something like £29 for a digital copy or something like that. But you can choose to buy all of them, which could be like 20 photos of you on the day. But it was like £50, which I thought was a little bit expensive. Yeah, so I ended up not buying any. Yeah, maybe it's just me, but I thought it was very pricey for photos that I don't know. I feel like there should be an option to buy one or two, but for like a cheaper price, like a more affordable price. But yeah, £50 was a little bit too much for me. And as you know, I think my GPS was a bit off, or the course was actually a little bit longer than 42.2 or 42.195. So when I got to 40k, in my mind I had 2.2k left. But the official sign said 40k and my watch actually said 40.46. So yeah, I felt like the course was longer, so I was off by a bit. I was really hoping to run it in 6 hours, but I ended up running it in 6 hours and 1 minute and I think 50 seconds. So not kind of the ideal finish time that I wanted, but I'm obviously still very happy I finished, considering how much pain I was in. But yeah, so the GPS, and I guess just maybe weaving between people as well at points when it was busy, especially at the start, so which is understandable. If you want to see my experience of running the actual race, I will leave a link to the video down below and also up here if you want to check out my Manchester Marathon race video. I took my GoPro with me and ran with it and kind of, yeah, share my experience of my first ever marathon. The other thing that I thought was a little bit disappointing was that because I was so slow running the marathon, by the time I finished, they didn't have small t-shirts left. So this is a medium. I mean, it's not too bad, but ideally I would have liked a t-shirt that actually fitted me better. So I thought that was a little bit disappointing in a way. And also, once you cross the finish line, it's not very obvious where you need to go. Once you cross the finish line, they hand you your medal, and then you kind of follow this route back into where the first start access area is, and then from then you kind of don't really know where you're going. There's no one there to kind of direct. I guess maybe because I was so slow and everyone's kind of like gone. But it's not very obvious where you need to go, and then you kind of walk around and you see, oh, t-shirts over there, so you go pick up your t-shirts, and then after that again it's like, I don't know where I'm going. It kind of in a way leads you to pick up your bags if you dropped off your bag. But then if you don't want to pick up a bag or you didn't drop off your bag, I just didn't know where I was going. I ended up like hobbling because I was in pain. I hobbled to like one end somewhere and it was a dead end, and then I hobbled somewhere else and it was another dead end. So it wasn't very obvious, and I was like, I just want to get out, I'm in so much pain. So yeah, it could have been nicer to have like exit signs maybe, but I eventually figured out where I was going. It's basically back out the way I came in, so it's quite a long windy bit to get out, and yeah, and then you're back at where you kind of first went in, if that makes sense. And I have to say the medal is amazing. It's big, it's heavy, and it's not just like the physical feel and look of the medal, it's also kind of what it represents and what I've achieved. I've kept this medal out for a while. Normally I leave it out for a few days, take some pictures, and then I kind of put it away and be like, okay, that's done, now onto the next event. Whereas this one I've kept out, kind of, it's still out, and I still look at it, I still hold it, and then just to remind myself how far I've come and how hard it was getting this medal. But yeah, I'm so happy with it, and I'm so glad I did it, and yeah, I hopefully do more marathons in the future and collect more. So overall, considering how big the event was, it was actually very, very well organized. Like I said, the communication was good. They sent out maps and instructions, and then had loads of details on road closures, transport, and suggestions and help and training plans and all sorts of information that you might need. And even on the day, it was busy, but the crowds were moving. So if you were queuing, other than maybe the toilets, but when you were queuing to get somewhere, the crowds were moving, and there were a lot of marshals and signs to kind of direct you. Even the queues for the toilets weren't actually that bad, maybe because I got there so early, but yeah, the queues were acceptable considering how many people there are, include like runners as well as spectators and families. So all in all, the whole event was very well put together and organized. I guess if they've done it many years, they've got a lot of experience, and yeah, the whole experience was good. Other than kind of the little things like I mentioned, like about the t-shirt and not knowing where I was going, yeah, it was very impressive, and I really had a good experience, and overall the whole weekend just went really well. Maybe because I was also very happy that I finished the marathon, but all in all, yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'd recommend it to anyone who's doing their first marathon, or maybe just fancied a different marathon, or if someone maybe run a smaller marathon and want to run a big marathon. The Manchester one is definitely a very big one, and it's a really good experience. I'd really definitely recommend it, and even if you're a regular marathon runner, I would still recommend doing it. It's a great experience. So hopefully you found my little recap video interesting. I tried to cover kind of everything on the weekend without waffling on too much or trying not to repeat myself too much, but I hope you enjoyed it. I know some of you have been asking to see a little recap video, but if you haven't watched my race video, I'll again leave it down below. And yeah, if you have any comments or anything else you'd like me to go through, I'm more than happy to. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Uni. I will see you on my next video very soon. Bye.